Hello there, and welcome to episode 4 of the Task Force Road Trip. We are taking on this, episode. I think this is Stronghold or Choke Point. I'm not 100% sure, because this task force regularly takes on Stronghold or Choke Point. That's why I'm not sure, I guess. But that's not really important. I'm not gonna lie to you. It doesn't matter. What's really important is, that's right, what's on the screen right now. That is Axiom, and as you can see, oh man, Braroth. Sorry, dude. I don't know how to pronounce that symbols. Or wait, because that would be an at symbol. So, because it would then be like Bahatrath, and I don't think that's right. I think that's wrong. I don't know. So, I'm horrible at pronouncing names. Anyone's name who I completely bugger, I really apologize. It's not by choice. It's because I'm Canadian. Yeah, that's it. So, fortunately, B was kind enough to open up the Axiom for me and clear out the rocket launchers over there on the left-hand side, and I came in for some freaking redemption. That's right, we're doing a little redemption from last episode 3, if you haven't seen it. I made an attempt at Axiom at one point, and it went horribly wrong. All of the things went wrong. It was pretty bad. So, this time, I think it's a slightly higher level Axiom. Maybe it's a lower level. I'm not 100% sure. But we're going at it. And we're going at it pretty much the same. This one actually had rocket launchers guarding the landing strip, if you would, or the beach, if you want to use, the real terms or some such. But so it was definitely a little trickier in regards to that, but that's okay, because unlike last time where things went horribly wrong, this time I got to smart, and I didn't leave my troops down in the range of the stupid flamethrowers so they could do horrible things. I shoved all of my troops way up at the very tippity except for that one Zuka. That one Zuka, not so much. I put everything up at the tippity top and did a very tight shock there to take it all out, and then dropped some critters to kind of distract boom cannons and grapplers and all of the things that were doing stuff and things to my doohickeys. And most importantly, nailing the win on the stupid attack, just so I don't lose my mind. It was a thing. I felt ripped off last time, and I wanted to show, look, I am capable of learning from my mistakes. I swear. But you know what? This episode isn't about me getting my revenge on Axiom. This episode is actually about Pinkyb, who, well, Pinkyb is the task force name. Whom, I guess, if there's more than one of them? Who, whatever. I not so make with goodly the English in things. Pinkyb is a 50-man and woman task force. Awesome. I'm going to drop the hashtag down below. They do, on a daily basis, Stronghold or Choke Point, kind of depending on the day and the intel and the number of people who will be attacking and whatnot. They kind of coordinate things. And actually, they were kind enough to, obviously, answer all the silly questions that I keep bugging people about whenever I join their task forces, but also they kind of gave me a glimpse into what was happening behind the scenes, kind of how they operate like in the officer kind of chat, because they have a heck of a system. I gotta say, I absolutely love it. Having watched it, it was a thing of beauty. Partially because obviously it's a 50-man task force, or man and woman, 50-person. Sorry, my girlfriend would kick my butt right about now. My partner? No. All right. So, anyways, question number one, obviously, is always, so like, how'd this happen? And I loved it. I loved it. This is the best answer ever. It seemed like a challenge to coordinate a task force, and I love booming. So I thought, what the heck? Which I don't know, makes me think maybe the leader is a bit of a masochist, but I'm not going to judge because Lord knows I've got my fair share of masochism in there. But it was kind of fun because a bunch of the officers kind of got together and they were, giving me the infos, and they were going through everything, and different people were answering different questions and stuff. Their officer team is this amazing unit. It was like watching some kind of a special attack force, super squad, alpha, kind of going after something, and actually every op that they start is the exact same. Like, it's crazy. They before the timer even expires, they start communicating. Everybody gets online. They assign out different bases to different people so that all the notes get up there like almost instantly. It was really impressive to watch. And having been in a couple other task forces where everybody's like, bleep, 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 hate the bleeping 50-mans, they suck, horrible, blah, bleep, 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 lazy people all over, blah, 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 blah. Man, I tell you, there are no lazy people in this task force. They work it, and they work it hard. I believe there was the one day where, unfortunately, due to just bad luck, they didn't finish the operation successfully, and out of I think there were 49 people. Either way, we're gonna call it 50. Out of the 50 people, I think like 2 or 3 didn't attack. Like, everybody was in there, everybody was trying. There's many people in the task force that like boosted max boosts like every day for the attack. Like, they put forth some serious effort. So massive props to all the peeps running around in Pinkyb, doing an absolutely amazing job. And it was really interesting to see, I guess, a big task force, considering this is my first 50-person. And most importantly, seeing that it was being run by women, and thus was way better organized than any other task force I've been in. Sorry, other task forces. I'm sorry. They got you beat. It really was incredible to watch. Like, just notes getting out there. It was great. Anyways, so their biggest roadblock they're experiencing right now is obviously the constant attention that is required to manage a 50-person task force. So what they apparently were running into a lot was, just the maintenance of monitoring the 50 people, seeing who's not pulling their weight, eliminating those people to make room for other people who would be willing to pull their own weight, and just kind of like, it's a constant cycle. So it's a battle against, I guess, time, because they don't have enough time to really put everything together. And it's not so much that it's just like in general doing all of this, but they want to make room for people who will put forth the effort and have fun and do good things for the task force and care. And it takes a lot to stay vigilant over a bunch of different people, especially because it is a game. Some people have off weeks where they've got things going on, or this and that, and So anyways, very interesting because most people are like, whoa man, Intel is a problem. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure if they had double the Intel they normally have on a daily basis, they wouldn't complain about it. But it wasn't, at the top of the list because they're able to produce enough Intel to do the ops that they want to do. Now they do admittedly have kind of a different system also, where every Saturday night they just don't start an op at all. So when the op from Friday ends, you get an entire day off, so you can go out, have a life, eat, drink, and be merry, or Sarah or whatever your Saturday night name happens to be, and I thought that was kind of nice. It was cool to see like they're not really crazy about pushing for the top of the leaderboards. They're more about making sure people have a good time, making sure people have, lots of loot for doing upgrades and things like that. And it definitely works out well because they have a fantastic group of people, super chatty. They're always constantly talking, to the point where like it gets freaking hard to stay caught up. Like you go off for 10-15 minutes and you come back and it's like over 100 messages and you're like, well, I don't know what I missed, but hi guys. Which is great if you're looking for a very active, very chatty task force that's really well run. This might be the task force for you. It's just saying. So they do, aside from the one day off, they do daily ops so that everybody can get mad loots and whatnot. And they're apparently, like, obviously with 50 people, they're going to be from all over the place. However, the vast majority seem to be North American. It is an English task force, thank goodness, because if it was, Mandarin or something, I would have absolutely no idea what anyone was saying, and it would make doing the questionnaire really awkward because I'd be like, so guys, and they'd be like, huh, and they'd say something and I'd be like, what? It'd turn into like a horrible, like, cheesy movie, like, hey guys, let's order some Chinese food. I don't know. Moving on. There aren't any real additional rules that aren't up in their little thing. However, they are really big on positive criticism only, and not holding bases. Because I know certain task forces, if you're loading up troops for a specific task force, you got a strategy, you got an idea, and you're like, oh, yo, I want to do this base, I'm loading my troops for it. It's kind of like calling dibs, and it's people aren't supposed to attack that base and whatnot. But they do not do that in this 50-man. It's just like, if you got the troops loaded, make your attack. If you don't, then load troops. But if someone makes an attack in between, tough titties, and move on. Attack one of the other bases. Because I guess at Stronghold, there's not a shortage. There's always at least 6 bases, and they always need at least 2 attacks. Kind of like Axiom, the first attack there. And obviously there are also various people of various different levels, so it's kind of nice because they specifically go out of their way when they're doing the notes and everything to kind of like make room for lower level people. So they understand the dude who's chilling at 48 is not gonna be Zukaing in and taking down a core with 1.5 million hit points on it. However, that dude can sit back and do some other things and try to help in other ways. And even if they get, like, say, a core that's been cleared, they'll actually hold it for the lower level people because they can use up half a dozen attacks because their damage is so low, but they will eventually get the core down from the safe spot, and then, you know, the people who can do higher end attacks can save their attacks for harder bases and kind of work their way through it. So really a big fan. I enjoyed how they did that, because they really do have a very wide, I guess, spread of levels, and they go from high 40s all the way up into obviously like the mid 60s, but then they also have like there's one guy who has, I think, 5 or 6 ice statues, like hardcore ice, and then there's other guys who have like 10 offensive statues, and they're just like balls to the wall, let's attack some stuff. So like it's kind of nice because everybody kind of has a home, and everybody has a, I guess, a role they can fill. You know, if you've got 6 ice statues, you're not gonna be solo Zuka, Smooka, or whatever you want to call AZ attacking a high level op core, but you're going to generate a buttload of intel through the week, and you can definitely clear mines or, you know, do whatever, so that you're useful on the attack. And so, you know, the guy with 10 offensive statues may not get a lot of intel during the week, but then he's going to come in and just ruin an op solo like a boss, and it all works out, which is, I don't know. I enjoyed seeing how like everybody had a home and everybody had a place, and a way they could help the greater good of the team. And there was a lot of like taking one for the team. I saw it regularly in the op attacks. The thing is with with Stronghold being such a high level and all of the attacks being that much longer, instead of just kind of like snipping little certain attacks from multiple days, I decided, for this one I'm just going to grab the one day. And it turned into a really, really long video. I think it worked out to like an hour to go through and just record. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to actually cut back. I can't even show every single attack for this one day's operation, and I'm still gonna have a full video, which was a definite learning curve for me, I guess. And yes, I had to be nosy, and I had to see if they used sabotage, because I was like, with a bunch of intel, you know, you're not worried about intel, you're more worried about getting good, solid people in. And I asked, and again, resounding no. I can't get over it. Just every time, everyone's always like, no, why would I do that to myself? That's horrible. No, thank you. And then, of course, for their favorite maps, they like Commodore, which, you know, I had to bring up just because, well, look at what we got here. And obviously you can see why. They have a very solid Commodore strategy. So the first attack was to come in and open everything up and kind of clear out and shorten the amount that needs to be smoked. And then the second attack is dropping everything right up here in the little Zuka world onto the core, and with a couple of shocks, wham wham, just like that, they start kaplowing all of the things, and you know, it's fun to watch. And then I guess obviously at this level you start running into Orbifold and Fang, which are their least liked tasks or operation cores or what have you. Yeah, GBE to finish it off. I felt kind of bad for that attack. He got robbed, like it was so close. And actually, here is a fantastic example of some great teamwork. The first lower level, I guess, attack comes in, throws some GBE out to clear mines, drops the warriors, and kind of just sets up the base For the next attack, and well, you'll see it. I'm not gonna get into it. They do use for this task force, I guess Facebook, for at least speaking between officers and whatnot. I'm not 100% sure between everybody else, but honestly, they don't need a third-party chat. Like, with the crazy amount of chat that goes on just a daily basis, it like so talkative. It's awesome. I loved it. It was hilarious to watch where, like, you go to do an attack that takes less than 4 minutes and you go back and there's like 40 plus messages, and I was just like, holy crow. There was an adjustment period for sure in between, like, doing a 10-man and then going to this and having a 50-man. It was like, holy crow, I don't even know what's going on anymore. And then low ball, absolutely fantastic attack on this core. When I watched it, I was like, oh my goodness, I never even would have thought of going there in 100 years. That's friggin' genius. Because I on this op, I was kind of looking at it thinking like, okay, well, if, I go here and I, clear out these, and then I can blow up this, and then I gotta shock this and this, and I was like, but then I never even considered just parking myself down in between the boom cannons and whatnot. And what this does is actually keeps you away from all the machine guns, cuts down massively on the shocks you need to throw, and all you got to do is keep the shock launcher shocked and the rocket launcher shocked, and throw some critters to distract all the cannons, because they're gonna be slow as balls anyways, and you can just unload all over that core. Absolutely loved it. Fantastic strategy and attack, and as you can see, this one is going down like a chump. So I asked, like, hey, why the 50-man? Why so big and everything? And apparently the part of the reason is because they wanted to do the higher end ops, and having that many people to collect intel and everything, it just makes it that much easier. You have more people there to attack, so you're able to do, harder attacks and whatnot. As you can see, this base has been attacked multiple times already, and I'm just kind of showing you the finisher because, like I said, otherwise this video would be like over an hour long. I'm pretty sure at this point we're pushing over 20 minutes. It's gonna go even longer, but that's okay. Alright, so anyways, apparently they wanted to do the higher end ops, and also they pulled together a couple of other task forces and kind of amalgamated them and merged them to make one super task force, which seems appropriate as a name because this task force is pretty super, I'm not gonna lie to you. Completely off topic. And then what else do we got here? Oh, yes. Currently, because they already merged all their task forces, obviously they don't have any associations, but one of the things they'd like to see change with the task forces is a way to know if members are online, and also if it had like a start date for members, because like I was saying earlier, with the whole I guess the administration side of things being pretty crazy with the 50-man and just having lots of stuff to have to deal with, they wanted a start date because it would allow them to know, for people who are, maybe not pulling their weight, and they're like, oh, they've only been around for, 3 days, or they've not been around that long, maybe there's a reason, maybe they're on vacation, like, oh, they've been around for 5 weeks, and they've had absolutely no problems making intel, and now this 1 week they've slipped because maybe real life had something going on. So they wanted, that extra information, just because it makes it that much easier to manage and monitor, especially with a 50-man, because there's so many people. Like, that's a lot of people to keep track of, and when you have people coming and going constantly, you know, it's definitely a much more complicated scenario than just a 10-man where everybody knows everybody else and you know exactly how long those people have been there and whatnot. And then, of course, being able to see members online. I know I've thought of that in the past and been like, you know what would be really freaking nice? If I knew who was online and when, so that I could hassle that person about getting their op attack in, you know, because if they don't attack, we're going to be hurting and blah, 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 blah. And to see someone else mention it, because I thought about it like a long time ago and then kind of forgot about it and was like, eh. But to see someone else be like, yeah, this would be nice, I was like, oh, that's friggin' genius. Great minds think alike and all that jazz. But, yeah, fully and absolutely, having a way of telling who's online and when would be amazing. Even if it was only, like, say, for officers to be able to see who's online and when, just to make, I guess, things a little easier so they know who they can talk to and get things done with. Anyways, I am going to wrap it up with the end of The Ballast from General Patton Oswalt, probably. General Patton Oswalt? I don't know. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully this has been entertaining. And most importantly, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day.